This is Dott TV. Dott TV. Dott TV. Dott TV. Dott TV. Dott TV.
Dott TV, the heart of the matter.
Coming up on Business Buzz, Nigeria's airtime leading market is now wide open. As the Tinubu administration moves to end 12 years of foreign dominance and hand the opportunity to homegrown companies, the world's biggest food companies are posting record profits in Nigeria. But 2 in 3 households can no longer afford enough food to eat. We ask, what is driving both numbers at once? And later, a welder who took his wages in shares just became a millionaire. Stay with us. This is Business Buzz. A major win for Nigerian financial technology companies as the Tinubu administration has ordered the deregulation of Nigeria's airtime credit market, opening the door for homegrown fintechs and tech firms to compete for a slice of a business valued at over 3 trillion naira in annual transactions and about $3.1 billion globally. President Tinubu has directed the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission to break the 12-year dominance of the South African technology firm Optasia in Nigeria's airtime credit and data advance markets. For years, Optasia has powered the borrow airtime and borrow data services across major mobile networks, using its platform to extend tiny loans that subscribers will pay on their next recharge. Briefings to the presidency say this single company model has killed competition, shut Nigerian firms out of the market, and allowed large revenues and profits to be shipped abroad, while Nigeria receives very little in tax, jobs, or technology transfer. In response, the president has backed a deregulation push, end the executive monopoly, stop exclusive deals with telecom operators, and open the market to several licensed Nigerian fintech and technology companies. At the heart of this fight is capital flight, money leaving Nigeria through a service that millions of people use every single day. Reports to the residency say Optasia's control of airtime credit has driven significant capital outflows, with transaction values running into trillions of naira each year. Even though the company has no significant office structure here, It employs almost no Nigerian staff and does not share credit data with local bureaus or banks. Optasia's 2025 financial statements show that mobile subscribers in Nigeria and other emerging markets borrowed about $3.18 billion worth of airtime on credit last year, with Africa accounting for more than 94% of that total. By opening the sector to Nigerian players, the government says it wants to keep more of that value at home. More of the fees, the data, the technology spending, and the tax base, in line with its Nigeria First agenda. Airtime and data loans have become a significant source of short-term finance for people without easy access to bank credit, particularly in a country where almost everyone has a phone, but many still do not own a bank account. The federal government says Nigerian tech firms have the skills, systems, and capacity to run these services themselves, while retaining more of the profits, the jobs, and the investments within the country. For local fintechs currently focused on small apps loans or agency banking, this market represents an opportunity to scale quickly. Tens of millions of SIM cards, billions of tiny transactions, and a clearer path to recurring income. Access to airtime credit data under clear regulatory rules could also allow Nigerian companies to move beyond airtime, offering larger nano loans, working capital products for small businesses, and new credit scoring models that bring informal workers into the formal financial system. Regulators are now expected to set out the next steps, how the single vendor model will be phased out, what conditions new fintech partners must meet, and what safeguards would protect customers as more Nigerian firms enter the space. Nigeria's foreign reserves have reached their highest level in 17 years, even as the naira dipped slightly against the dollar, as supply from investors and expectors slowed. On the official window, the currency closed Thursday at 1,363 naira 83 kobo to the dollar, a decline of around 5 naira over the week, and a second consecutive weekly loss. On the parallel market, the dollar traded at 1,409 naira, widening the spread between the official and parallel markets to 46 naira. The naira's weakness came despite continued growth in Nigeria's external reserves, which provide the central bank with a buffer to support the currency and meet external obligations. The nation's reserves have crossed $50 billion for the first time since 2009, a 32% increase from this time last year. The reserve buildup reflects stronger foreign exchange inflows, improved investor confidence, and the impact of ongoing economic reforms. Everybody must eat. That is how the managing director of BUA Foods, Ayodele Abioye, explains his company's performance, even as millions of Nigerians struggle to do exactly that. Nigeria's largest food manufacturers are reporting record profits. Nestle Nigeria, maker of Maggi and Milo, posted revenue of 1.21 trillion naira for 2025, a record, and returned to profit of around 105 billion naira after 2 years of heavy foreign exchange losses. Nigeria bureaus also returned to profit, and BUA Foods nearly doubled its earning, all in the past year. A recent Financial Times analysis found the same pattern playing out across global food multinationals, sustained growth in emerging markets, even as customer purchasing power falls. In Nigeria, part of that growth has been driven by a shift to smaller pack sizes at higher unit prices and deeper distribution into lower income neighborhoods. But set against those earnings is a different set of numbers. A national survey found that the share of Nigerian households unable to provide sufficient food rose to 62%, nearly 2 in 3, up from 37% before the current reform program began. More than 1 in 10 households reported a member going an entire day without eating. The profits and the hunger are not unrelated. Analysts attribute much of the earnings recovery to price increases passed through customers as the naira weakened and input costs rose. The pricing that restored corporate margins is the same pricing that has faced stapled goods beyond the reach of many households. Everybody must eat. The companies are counting on it. For a growing number of Nigerians, the question is whether they still can. The International Monetary Fund has recommended that Nigeria raise taxes on fuel and on telecommunications, two of the most widely used services in the country. In new advice to the federal government, the IMF is urging Abuja to introduce or increase taxes on fuel products and telecommunication services as part of a broader push to grow revenue and close the company's widening facial gap. Nigeria's federal government has ramped up capital spending in the 2026 budget, but the IMF cautioned that there is little room to maintain that trajectory without fresh revenue streams. The proposal appears in the fund's 2026 Article 4 review of the Nigerian economy. It calls for value-added tax to be extended to petrol, recommends a new excise duty on calls and data, and proposes raising the headline VAT rate from its current 7.5%. The IMF estimates these measures could lift government revenues by close to 4% of national output over 3 years. The fund did, however, attach a warning of its own that the timing of any new taxes must consider Nigeria's rising poverty levels and worsening food insecurity, and that a functioning cash transfer system for the most vulnerable should be in place before implementation. The Nigerian government has not indicated any plans to adopt these recommendations. Oweda, who took part of his payment as shares while working for rocket company SpaceX, became a millionaire on Friday, following the historic SpaceX IPO. SpaceX, the rocket company controlled by Elon Musk, made its debut on the Nasdaq on Friday at a price that valued the company at roughly $1.75 trillion, among the 10 most valuable listed firms in the world. By the close of first trading, that valuation had passed $2 trillion. Elon Musk became the first trillionaire in the history. More than 4,000 current and former employees now hold stock worth over $1 million, and around 400 employees hold stock worth over $100 million. Among them is Juan Hernandez, who joined SpaceX in 2015 as a contract welder after hearing about the company from a friend. When SpaceX hired him, he was earning $28 per hour. Then the company offered $10 worth of stock as part of his compensation. During his time at SpaceX, Hernandez worked on the structures that lifted rockets onto the launch pad and held them in place before flights. By Friday's close, his shares were worth over $1 million. In an interview with CBS News, Hernandez said he believes giving workers a stake in the company drives them to succeed, that it gives them, in his words, skin in the game.
Many SpaceX workers are expected to become instant millionaires, with SpaceX publicly trading on the NASDAQ. How did you end up with a job at SpaceX?
And a friend that I met at another job ended up in SpaceX. And then he called me. I told him, I don't even know what SpaceX is, but let's go, you know?
Hernandez says he worked there for 10 years, rising to supervisor, still holding 6,500 shares of SpaceX. How much money do you stand to make in this IPO?
That opening is going to be like around, $880,000.
$880,000.
Yes. As an immigrant, I was always taught just to work hard, do the best I can what I do. And thanks to SpaceX, you see the light at the end of the tunnel.
Do you feel like you've achieved the American dream?
Yeah, but there's no reason to stop.
The SpaceX story raises a question worth asking closer to home. What happens when the people who build a business also own a piece of it? The welder, the factory hand, the bank teller, even a small shareholding passed down to the people on the ground can mean the difference between a wage and genuine wealth. SpaceX is a demonstration of what equity distributed widely can build.
It is certainly hard to believe that a little company that started in a warehouse in El Segundo is now going public for with the largest IPO that ever. And let me tell you, if people had told me this was going to happen, I was like, man, you must be smoking some really good crack, because I think this company's going to fail. We want to be able to take anyone who wants to go to the moon, anyone who wants to go to Mars, or anywhere in the solar system, and maybe beyond the solar system at some point. We want to be able to take you there. Not just a few astronauts. I mean you. And I'm confident at this point that with the incredible team that we have here at SpaceX, that we will do that for you.
That's it for Business Buzz today. Join us tomorrow, where we'll continue to track the stories shaping Nigeria's economy and your money. I am Louisa Asidi. Thank you for watching.